2024, outgoing US President Joe Biden hosted Kenya's President William Ruto on a high-profile state visit. To some, this high-profile visit created the impression that President Ruto is America's blue-eyed boy in Africa. But with the election of Donald Trump as the 47th president of the USA, the question on the mind of every Kenyan is, what will happen to Kenya's bilateral relationship with the USA? To gain more insight into Kenya's position, I spoke with David Kerich, the country's ambassador to the United States, during the Jamhuri Day celebrations in Washington, D.C. This is what he had to say.
As a government, we believe that government is an institution. So the administration that is outgoing did what it was able to do. There are some bilateral contracts that are going on. Some are due for renewal. Some are being negotiated with a view to signing. And even if that was not finalized with this the outgoing administration, we are hopeful and we believe that the new administration will also continue, because it's a government in any event. It was not an individual.
Ambassador Kerich was optimistic and pledged to champion Kenya's interests in Washington. He said that Kenya's bilateral relations with the US are government to government and will not be affected by the presidential office holder.
So we don't have any problem. Of course, some people are a bit sketchy, the people are a bit anxious, they don't know what will happen. But I want to assure you that government is a perpetual entity. Irrespective of the president, the policies will be the same, and we will also be there to champion our interests. We will reach out the way we are starting to reach out. As you know, our president already called the new president elect to congratulate him. Therefore, that is a sign to show that we intend to proceed with the same policies, even better, with the new administration. So there should be no issue, and there should be no worry at all.
Molly Fee, the Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs, reiterated President Biden's statement in Angola, emphasizing Africa's future potential.
The African people are so warm and open and interested in the United States. You heard from Flory and Brianne how they're bringing the best of American technology and the private sector to help support Africa reach its ambitions. I hope you heard President Biden say last week when he was in Angola that Africa is the future. One of the many characteristics we admire about Kenya is the country's focus on the future, championing the fight against climate change, demanding international financial institutions address the priorities and concerns of the Global South, and pushing the envelope on STEM, science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. Building on Kenya's innovative technology sector, which Brianne described so well, we proudly selected Kenya to join our International CHIPS Partnership, which, if you haven't heard of, is a global investment in semiconductor production and diversification. And Kenya is the first African country in this highly selective program. And I also want to note that it's one of the few international partners to receive support from President Biden's historic CHIPS and Science Act. So as we look out to the future, to the next few decades and beyond, I am genuinely excited to imagine what we can continue to achieve as we remain friends and partners.
She highlighted the long-standing relations between the US and Kenya, with the US being Kenya's largest export market.
As we all know, when we had the joy of welcoming President Ruto and his delegation for an historic state visit, the first by an African head of state since 2008. And this state visit provided an opportunity for both President Biden and for President Ruto to publicly reinforce our mutual commitment to leading democracies that deliver prosperity, security, and opportunity. Now, a few facts and figures. I won't go on too long, but we're proud to be one of Kenya's largest export markets, with nearly 900 million in goods exported to the US last year alone. And recently, we've had more than 4,500 Kenyan students come and study at US universities. That's the third largest number in sub-Saharan Africa. We have an estimated 250,000 Kenyans residing in the United States and sending remittances worth more than $3 billion back to Kenya. And the United States is the leading source of tourists to Kenya, with more than 250,000 American citizens visiting last year and almost 30,000 US citizens residing now in Kenya.
She also noted the presence of a significant number of Kenyans residing in the US.
Last year alone, the State Department provided nearly $500 million in bilateral assistance for programs promoting our shared goals in the areas of economic development, good governance, education, climate, and health. And we also donated an additional $300 million in humanitarian assistance to help Kenyans dealing with drought and food insecurity. You know that Kenya has long been a partner of choice for the United States on matters of peace and security, and we are very proud that we are able to call Kenya our first and only major non-NATO ally in sub-Saharan Africa. We're also grateful for Kenya's leadership and partnership as we work together to try and solve challenges in the Horn, and we also welcome Kenya's contribution to meeting the challenges in Haiti.
Ambassador Kerich said the embassy is collaborating with American businessmen and institutions such as Walmart to ensure that Kenyans have access to the US market.
We have traders here, we have farmers who have produce, who want to bring produce here, and we have already engaged with the businessmen here. Even those who came here for these celebrations, these are American businessmen who have an interest in Kenya. There is no big deal, only to negotiate to ensure that we get the proper terms and to we meet the proper qualities so that we are able to produce and bring them to this place. So the embassy will reach out. We will organize for meetings for those businessmen. So I want to urge the businessmen to get in touch with us so that we can arrange a meeting. We can do an introduction to them so that they are known that these are the proper and correct companies to deal with. And then I believe when we collaborate together with the traders and together with the consumers and the buyers and the producers, something will happen.
On service delivery, Ambassador Kerich reassured that the Kenyan embassy remains committed to providing efficient services to all Kenyans, including mobile consulate services.
The services in the Kenyan embassy in the US, the efficiency is quite high. Actually, anybody who says that it is not efficient is not true. It is, maybe that is a long time ago, but now I want to assure you that our services are very efficient. You call our embassy, it's picked. There is always somebody to talk to you. There's always somebody to direct you. And if you need your services, consular services, if you need your ID, if you need a passport, if you need a certification of any documents, if you need a birth certificate for your children, you just simply make an application. You can do it online, or you can come to the office. In the US here, we have 3 offices. We have one office in DC, we have another office in LA, and we have another office in New York. So those 3 offices. And plus, we also give consular service, mobile consular services. We go around, like the other time, last 2 weeks ago, we went to Florida. We took our consular service to Florida, and we served about 150 people. And we intend to go around, and we have told, especially the diaspora in this country, that organize yourselves. If you're in good number, maybe 200 people, we'll mobilize our group, they will come and they will give you the service. So in terms of being efficient, we are efficient. I can tell you as ambassador that we are here to serve you. And so far, so good. People are happy, and we will continue to give them. And if there's any issue, please come to see us.
He emphasized the importance of community engagement, encouraging Kenyans in the US to belong to a community and support one another.
Belong to either a church, belong to a society, so that in case of distress, in case you need any help, people know where you are. Because we need to assist each other socially, psychologically, emotionally. We should be there. And I tell people, let us be our brothers and sisters keeper.
The 2024 Jamhuri Day celebrations marked 60 years of Kenya's diplomatic journey since 1964. Ambassador Kerich highlighted Kenya's remarkable economic growth, which solidifies Kenya's position as a beacon of prosperity in East and Central Africa.
At independence, the country's GDP was approximately $1 billion US. And by 2023, the economy had grown to a GDP of approximately $7.44 billion US. Kenya today stands tall as a beacon of economic prosperity in Eastern and Central Africa.
He also lauded the Kennedy Airlift program, which was championed by the late Tom Mboya and which brought 81 Kenyans to study in America, and the beneficiaries included Obama Sr.
The ties between the United States and Kenya are long-standing and deep. Some 60 years ago, about the time when Kenya achieved independence, a young Kenyan named Tom Mboya convinced a young American president, John F. Kennedy, to fly young Kenyans to the United States to attend university. And I was delighted to meet tonight Joshua, who comes from Nairobi and in his first year at Howard. So the tradition continues. What a wonderful start to our partnership.
Our cordial relations dates back, as I said, to 1964, but as the Assistant Secretary of State stated, it started actually earlier in 1958 when a young man, a 28-year-old Tom Mboya, by then championed the airlift of young Kenyans to come and study in the US, normally known as the Kennedy Airlift. The first group of that airlift came to the US landed. There were 81 in number, and for your information, one of the beneficiaries was Obama Sr.
Ambassador Kerich commended USA-based Kenyans for their achievements in various fields and applauded them for their remittances back home.
And the USA. You have done quite a lot in business, commerce, academia, science and technology, health and entertainment. Your unrelenting commitment to excellence, driven by your deep-rooted family values and community, is commendable. Once again, we applaud your contribution and knowledge and acknowledge your critical role. We want to appreciate that your diaspora remittance hit a record high of $4.19 billion US by the end of last year. And out of that, 56% came from the diaspora from the US. The Kenyan government takes that very seriously, and diaspora affairs is very close to the Kenyan government, and that's why the Kenyan government was able to establish a whole department in charge of diaspora affairs under the Ministry of Foreign Affairs. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to extend our heartfelt gratitude to Google for your sponsorship for today's reception. Thank you very much. Your generous support has helped us to have this successful reception.
Google has been a part of Africa's socioeconomic growth, bringing our products like search, maps, YouTube, those products that you know and hopefully love, and our programs to help individual users and organizations across the African continent grow.
Google, as sponsor of the event, expressed pride in Kenya's digital transformation, citing the country as a pioneer in mobile money transfer. Brian Dawson, who represented Google at the event, mentioned the Umoja project, a subsea cable network connecting Africa to Australia.
We're making important progress in partnership with the Kenyan government to accelerating Kenya's digital transformation potential. And because so many of you in the room have been part of it, allow me to share a few recent examples. During President Ruto's historic state visit to the United States back in May, Google announced Umoja, Swahili for unity, the first ever fiber optic subsea cable route to connect the African continent to Australia. The subsea cable will increase the reach, reliance, and resilience of the internet, And we're really excited to be supporting digital connectivity with knock-on benefits for the entire region. Also during the state visit, we were super honored to sign a joint statement of collaboration with the government of Kenya, outlining our shared vision for enhancing digital infrastructure, harnessing artificial intelligence, improving cybersecurity, facilitating data-driven innovation, and empowering digital upskilling. We are already seeing AI enhancing people's daily lives, and Kenyan innovators are truly at the forefront of driving this growth and progress. And one example I'd just like to highlight, we are working closely with Google Research and partnering with Jacaranda Health, a health-based nonprofit focused on improving health outcomes for mothers and babies and empowering women to get ultrasounds and diagnostic care that is helping to improve lives, and also empower clinicians with ultrasonography to collect important data.
She said that most digital innovation begins in Africa before spreading to the rest of the world.
African users were the first to access the internet through a phone rather than a computer. Mobile money in Kenya was ubiquitous in Kenya long before it was adopted in the rest of the world. And we see the next step. Yeah, I think you should clap for that. The next step is in promoting greater adoption of cloud computing, e-government services, and broader adoption of artificial intelligence. And as we look ahead, we see tremendous opportunity for Kenya to harness the power of AI to drive economic growth, solve societal challenges, and create a brighter future for Kenyans and the people who depend on life-saving access to treatment and other important AI-enabled technologies for people around the globe. As I close, we at Google reaffirm our commitment on this day to being a trusted partner in Kenya's journey of progress and innovation. Happy Jamhuri Day. Asante sana.
As President-elect Donald Trump prepares to take office, it is clear that Ambassador Kerich's diplomatic acumen will be put to test. However, the ambassador remains confident that the country's diplomatic relations will endure. With her commitment to championing Kenya's interests and fostering collaboration with American businessmen and institutions, Ambassador Kerich is optimistic about the future of US-Kenya relations.
Yes, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, may I now invite all of you to raise your glasses to toast for the Kenya and the United States good relations and the continued peace, health, and prosperity for our citizens of our two nations.
Thank you for watching this story, and please let us keep the conversation going. Please go to the comment section and let me know what you think about the future of the relations between Kenya and the United States once President Trump takes office. My name is Bonventure, and this is Moving Pictures Kenya, connecting people, inspiring Africa.